Thanks for coming back. We're going to continue looking at some of the impacts of mining. Some of you may recall that I used to work for the Forest Service in Idaho. And when I first got to Idaho, just kind of driving around the back roads, we saw a lot of landscapes that look like this, where it's just kind of like piles of rock is what it looks like. And you see them around California too, and just all over the West. And so if you get a chance to take a road trip someday, cruise around the West, it's amazing, but you'll see evidence of past mines. So they're called tailings or spoilage heaps. And what it is, it's just a pile of rock that was left over from a mine. And so if you think about it, back in the day, gold rush days, people are mining and they're pulling out the overburden, putting it in piles, and then eventually they're ready to move on and mine somewhere else. Do you stop and repair the mine you were just at, putting all the rocks back into the hole? No, of course not. You just move on to the next one. And so there's evidence of I guess, historic mining all around. And it just doesn't look very good. You got an aesthetic problem. The soil's gone, and so it doesn't really recover so well. But more than that, a lot of the times in rock like that, you got sulfur. And so it's just like when we release sulfur dioxide from like a burning coal. Sulfur and water combine and you get sulfuric acid. And so it can be acid rain coming out of the sky, or if the sulfur is exposed on the ground and it rains, you get what's called acid drainage. And so you can see some spoilage heaps or tailings back there. And then it rains, and basically you get acid leaching out into the watershed, and of course that becomes a problem. And so we want to avoid that. Furthermore, you are also involved with mines are, where's my slide? You get these pools set up because there's chemicals involved. So you pull out the ore, and then how do you actually get what you want? A lot of times there's a chemical reaction, a single replacement chemical reaction, where, for example, with gold, you use mercury, and you put mercury in, and you bump out the gold from the ore so you can capture the pure gold. But now you got mercury in the environment. And so a lot of our mercury, which we've learned a little bit about, is from the mining days. They also use cyanides and other heavy chemicals like that. And then they store their chemicals in like these pools here, these waste pools, and then they try and deal with it. And really mining has come a long way. And so miners they're trying, I imagine they're trying their best to contain the pollution. But in this case, in 2015, there was a big accident in Colorado, and a lot of this stuff got away and polluted the Colorado River. And so accidents happen. And so we've got, back to our notes, we got, habitat destruction, massive habitat destruction in spoilage heaps and tailings. You got acid runoff. Make sure you associate that with mining. That's a thing. Sulfur exposed water, acid runoff. And then, of course, back you got a big human health price tag with these communities surrounding some of these mining areas, especially in the southeast of the United States. And so how do we stop it? And so just before we get into like the protective laws, just to give you an idea, the first mining law in the United States was this one, General Mining Act of 1872. You don't need to memorize it, but just for context, it's kind of like the Homesteading Act. It's like they wanted people to settle the West. They wanted to encourage people to come out here and live and develop the land. And so for $5 an acre, you could go out, and an acre is like the size of a football field. You could take that land, and whatever you got off the land was yours to keep. And so, of course, there's all kinds of ways we could critique that law. Mainly, the land wasn't exactly ours to give away, and there was not a lot of environmental, protection going on at the time, and we could continue to go on. But the other ones are, you can think of all types of environmental laws, from the Endangered Species Act to the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act. But the one that you want to make sure you know is this one, the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act. And that is from 1977, and basically what that says is that if you want to mine this area, you've got to put a mining company's got to put down a bond, a huge deposit that they don't get back until all their mining activities are complete and they have restored the land as best they can to the I guess the primitive state of what it was before that mining started to happen. So you got to come in, you got to put the soil back, you got to plant trees and do the habitat restoration and take responsibility for the mess. And then maybe the price of those minerals are going to be more because you got to include the cleanup costs. Otherwise, that's an externalized cost. We can't do that. And so it's a good law, but come on. Can we repair this back to its original state? It's kind of a fantasy, right? Can we do this? And so we've got some really destructive mining practices that we are the demand for. And most mining companies have come so far in cleaning up their acts. And so mining is like one of those necessary things. And so we just want to minimize the destruction as much as possible. And so unfortunately, we're not in class, but what I wanted to do with you guys is to do a little simulation and have you guys take on the role of miners. And so and what I was going to do is have you guys buy land from me in the form of chocolate chip cookies. And so we just made cookies here so I could simulate this for you. I was going to give you guys each you could choose which one you wanted to buy. Some cookies are more expensive than the others. What's the ore we're trying to get? The chocolate. Look at all that good chocolate. But of course, we can't turn the cookie upside down. We got to come in from the top. And you're going to need some tools. And I'd be the bank and I would sell you these tools in the form of paper clips and toothpicks. And then you'd have to, hang on, we got to set the mood here with the right music. Get some good old boy bluegrass going in the background, and then we'd come in and we'd mine our cookies and pull out that chocolate ore, and I would buy that from you. And your whole goal was to be profitable as a mining company, but at the end you've got to repair the chocolate chip cookie all the way back. You got to put all the crumbs in. We had to do it on graph paper, and you got to make sure and you can't ever touch it. You can only use tools, and you got to put the cookie back together. Of course, your mining operations cost $100 a minute, and I'm the bank, and so it was like this whole simulation. And the main point of it all was not only to experience what it's like to be a miner, but to have a cookie to eat. So if you want to do that at home, I encourage you to do it. Chocolate. One of the best ores we're ever going to mine. All right, you guys, hope that was interesting, and you got some notes. Make sure you go back, make a summary, see if you can answer those questions on your own in your own words, and I will see you next time. Thank you.